Andy Austin here with the next chapter review from The Rainbow Machine, Tales from a Neurolinguist's Journal by Andrew T. Austin. This is one of my favorites, the Messiah complex. Now, there's a lot of this that goes on, both in mental health and in everyday life. In mental health, you'll see the people who essentially they think they're Jesus, they are the prophet, there's something hugely important connected to the divine. The question as to whether they're mad or religious all comes down to, I guess, just how many followers they have. In the millennium, at the turn of 1999, they flooded to Jerusalem, and the Jerusalem syndrome became a bit of an issue for the authorities in Israel, as every weirdo and his dog flew over there to start preaching the end of the world or whatever it is they were going to be, because obviously he was due to come again at around about 2,000 years, and so millennium was natural magnet to people who thought they were the Messiah. What you will find, if we look at religion itself, it mirrors therapy, or therapy mirrors religion. I don't know which way round, really, we ought to look at it. There was a time when the healer was the priest. He would have his holy book. He would have the sacraments. He would have the confidentiality of the confession booth. And you were encouraged to spill all of your inner thoughts and secrets in order to be redeemed, in order to be saved, in order to be healed. And the sacraments would be prescribed, there would be mantras and prayers that would be prescribed, and in that way you would be saved, you would become one of the chosen. The priest got replaced by the therapist. The therapist now has the diagnostic statistical manual, or his training manual of whatever it is. He doesn't issue prayers, but he might issue hypnotic scripts and suggestions and post-hypnotic suggestions, or magic words that stay with you. You may well have those things, those weird things, these affirmations they get you to say on a regular basis. Some meetings even open and end with the weird little affirmational prayer thing that they do. They're healers. They take your confession. Just like the priests, they also take your money. Because whilst you are encouraged to have this special relationship of great secrecy and confidentiality with the priest, you are also to come back every week and keep handing over that money into the collection plate. The church needs money. God needs money. And in therapy, of course, you have to keep coming back and paying those expensive therapy fees. And with the training scene, you need to come back for the next level course. You do the practitioner, the advanced practitioner, then the trainer's training, and then the meta trainer's training, then the mega master trainer's training, and all of the other stuff that goes on in the never-ending pyramid. Ask your personal development trainer, how will I know when I'm developed enough? And they will tell you something along the lines of, you'll never be developed enough. There's always room for improvement. Here's my next course. Give us your cash. Oh, you can't afford it. That's just a limiting belief. Let's discuss your beliefs around money, because if it's important to you, you'll always find a way. Your faith will be tested. One of the tried and tested methods of religion is invent a God. Be the prophet for that God. Be the person who speaks on the God's behalf, the person who listens on the God's behalf. The same thing happens with therapy. We find somebody who may well be a little bit obscure, a yet undiscovered God. We study their work, we model their work, we distill it out. We can now teach the work. We find someone whose work is quite deep and maybe incomprehensible, and you can access that person through me. Meanwhile, for my marketing, I'm going to make that therapeutic great into an even bigger great. He may never be heard of before, but I'm going to make sure he is the one who's now the God. And I am his prophet, and it is through me that you will hear his words. And it is through me and to me that you can speak directly to him, because I speak on his behalf and I hear on his behalf. And don't worry, it's all confidential. Just keep giving me your money as I keep taking the money, because it's important to do God's work. And in our current days, we find there's an increase of healers and prophets and diviners and tarot readers, all within the therapeutic domain. I remember in the early 2000s, there was an explosion of mediums and psychics and channelers in the NLP scene. I found it very odd. People who were channeling higher spirit, because people They had done the practitioner. They had done the master practitioner. They had done the trainer's training. Where do they go next? Into the spiritual domains. And that's what people did. They went wacky woo. And we were finding people who were channeling all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And of course, they were now the prophets. These days, that's not so fashionable. And we're finding a lot of people who are now healers and diviners, as I said. And that seems to be the current trend. Anything to reinvent and to constantly elevate themselves up the ranks as more people jump on the bandwagon and start to do the same thing. So the Messiah complex isn't just limited to the domain of psychiatry and the deluded fool. It is also finds an audience. And what is the difference between the person on the psychiatric unit and the person standing on the stage? Nothing really, apart from the audience size. One has managed to find his element of narcissistic supply, and the other one just found medication because he annoyed too many people too quickly. Once you have a following, you can annoy people, you'll get rewarded for it. But if you don't have a following and annoy people, you get medicated for it. And one of the other things with the narcissism of small differences, your followers now can start to, as the organization gets bigger, and we saw this with NLP, you start to see a divide occur. So as your originators split and go their separate ways, so do their followers. And now you swear allegiance. Are you a classic coder or a new coder? And who do you swear allegiance to? Which religion are you a member of? And do you do NLP or do you do EMDR? Are you a reflexive Rogerian counselor or are you a psychodynamic counselor? Which sort of counselor are you? Which ideology do you subscribe to? Are you an analytical hypnotherapist, a direct hypnotist, an indirect hypnotist, an Ericksonian hypnotist? Which school of ideology do you align yourself with? And then the arguments can begin as people then delve into their respective holy books and pluck out quotes to justify whatever ideology they have. And then you see people on Facebook and stuff arguing their quotes from their holy books. But no one can see they've just recreated and reinvented religion. They've just used different terminologies. And still it goes on. But as long as the money keeps flowing, it will continue. As always, click the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Always interested in other people's opinions on this.